good to go. Cool. Alrighty. Let me pop out the chat. Pop out the chat. Pop it out.
Very good way to do it, man.
Alright. Gotta be able to be over here to control things. And, alright. I think we're good to go, sir. So, let's see if I remember how to do this. Hang on, let me turn on,
it's been a
turn
hot
on
minute
my
since
Do Not Disturb here. Okay, it is on Do Not Disturb.
And obviously, Bird Vetter is already here.
Ah, yes. Hello to
good,
Lauren.
sir?
Hello to Austin. Hello to Travis and Bert and everyone else that is hanging out. Javier Lerma. Hello. Good to see everyone. Can you all hear us okay?
Hopefully
Everyone
so.
sounding good? No, hey, don't get ahead of the class, Austin.
Oh, come on.
So Fuego,
Love you,
if you
Austin.
want to know what stories I decided on, feel free to read.
Yes, you see, this is the thing. I send him like a bevy of stories, and he's just like, because I am the.
I will whittle it down.
Yeah, it's like the editor versus the publisher sort of situation where you toss a lot of ideas that way. But I am excited very much for our return of this. So shall we accordingly do our proper introductions? I guess I
Yes,
should do
the
mine
proper.
too if you're doing that.
Hey everyone, I'm Cecil Laird.
And I'm Jaime and Fuego!
And this is your horror show news
With
booze. What's up, everyone?
Yes, salud!
Welcome back.
Feliz 2021. We hope it's better than the previous year of madness that we have encountered.
So I'm going to just fire off the link to both the Twitters and the Facing Books
Yep.
so they can come and join the fun.
These faces did involve books.
All right, so those links are sent. We are back in the swing of it. Okay, Travis Miller asks a very, very good question, Fuego. We both have distinctly pinkly drinks today. Hold your drink up.
Yes.
What are you doing? I'm obviously
Well,
referring to the drinks.
I thought mine was like bloodier.
It is bloodier than mine. Yes, it is bloodier. You have a heavier flow than I do. But
well, it's my ladies' time of the month right now. So,
Ew, what? Ew. No one asked that. Anyway, I am going to be drinking vodka, pineapple, and a bit of cran grape. So it's basically this much vodka, this much pineapple, this much cran grape, if anyone is curious. Fuego, what are you sipping on?
Well, I am sipping on the current continued movement of the seltzers that are, for whatever reason, combining lemonade along with them. And there is a aforementioned American company that is responsible for this strawberry lemonade seltzer. Wimp, yeah, I should be drinking an IPA, right? But
we have one down there, but
yeah, chomp on the pounds, man.
Congratulations on 36K. Thank you, Dale. I appreciate that.
Hell yeah, Dale. Right?
Yeah. Good work on your video, Dale. Dale is someone that's been watching the channel for a bit now. Very supportive of the channel, which we greatly appreciate. He recently launched his own channel, and he's starting to post videos over there. So Dale, feel free to post your link in the chat, and people can go and check out your channel. The drinks don't necessarily, I mean, they do, they're amazing tasting, so they look amazing to some, and to others they're like, it's not beer, I don't like it.
I would prefer to be having like a nice stout or IPA, but hey man, it is what it is. Or like a very dirty gin martini, but whatever.
So
it is what it is.
Anyway, to the task at hand,
the most important.
Like Fuego said, normally for these news with booze episodes now, he will send over a grip of stories like the day before we do this. I will whittle them down to, what I think are the most important 10 stories or less to talk about. And apparently he sent over so many links that I missed a couple this time.
It was a whole month's worth.
So before we actually get into the very first story, we're going to touch on two other stories that were apparently quite big. So Fuego, the first one I'm going to do is this one. Bam.
Okay, so let's just make mention that obviously, we know that there is Godzilla vs. Kong finally coming, although in a strange dichotomy of release. So there is both a HBO Max release, which if anybody watched The Little Things this past weekend, you got to see a theatrical film similar to what they did with Wonder Woman 84 at home that is also playing out in theaters. If you're in any region where theaters are actually functioning. I had the ability where I could have gone and seen this in a theater, but I chose not to. I watched it at home, and The Little Things, I'm kind of glad I watched it at home, but it's not as bad as all these assholes are trying to say it to be. Wonder Woman, that's a different story. But, so... Godzilla vs. Kong coming initially on March 26th. They did recently move it to the 31st, so there was like that little shift aspect that you guys should mention. We're going to get to full-on re-release or, just disjointed release schedule shizzle at the end of the proceedings here. But, there is a Kong Skull Island animated spin-off sort of thing, along with a Tomb Raider, which is not, horror, obviously, but there is obviously also going to be a Tomb Raider, Lara Croft sort of situation. I feel like I need to click on the actual story to get us some initial and some additional bits of information, but more often than not, if you guys are stoked about what they're doing with the Godzilla stuff on Netflix already, does it not make sense for them to do a Kong series?
The Godzilla stuff
already?
on Netflix is trash, though.
That's what I've heard, but
it's nothing to do with this
as far as merchandising
universe
goes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's nothing to do with this universe. If they do stuff in this universe, I think there's a lot more likelihood that it's going to be better.
Okay, so it is.
No worries, Mikey. Hey, we're glad to see you, man. No rush. We only, we want our patrons to, we would rather them take care of themselves before they contribute to us. And you've been awesome for such a long time. We're actually still cranking out some of your Patreon requests. So no worries at all, brother. Whenever is clever, and if never, that's still fine for us too.
And that's where I constantly contend that, hey, if you have supported us in any particular segment here or there, it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't need to be a constant thing. And Mikey, I just debuted and downloaded the cat, which we will eventually get to it.
Yep. The cat is one of the ones we're going to be knocking out in the very near future.
Yeah, it was tough to track down. Yeah. So thank you for that. But okay, so we reviewed the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous recently, and this is a further foray from Netflix into the animated source of development. Announced today is a Skull Island new animated series, and this was a few days ago, but for Netflix that takes place within the legendary Monsterverse. So presumably this isn't going to be in line with the Toho Godzilla weird stuff that you were being critical of a moment ago.
Right.
This is actually going to fit within this current universe that entails the film that's coming next month, Skull Island, and both of the previous Godzilla films. So I'm trying to see if it's going to be CGI or if it's going to be 2D. I would imagine CGI based on what Netflix tends to,
but we'll see.
kind of be preferable
I don't
about.
know. Netflix has been doing a lot more.
It's from the same team behind Castlevania.
Oh, but that's the same people that did the Blood of Zeus series that just premiered. They're also doing the new Motu series with Kevin Smith. Oh. So they are...
What is the Motu K. Smith? What is that again?
Masters of the Universe.
Oh, Motu.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear the acronym, it just throws me off for Masters of the Universe. But
so if you guys saw the Castlevania series or the Blood of Zeus series that was recently debuted on Netflix, that is not CGI. That is very much old school 2D animation that is very gory. Little 3D flourishes, exactly, but very, very gory. Shin Ultraman is coming out soon by the team behind Shin Godzilla, so more kaiju action. I need to rewatch Shin Godzilla because I didn't like it the first time I saw it. I need to give it another go. But
well, and also, didn't they put out, Mikey, didn't they put out 4Ks on maybe Arrow this past week of all the Gamera stuff? Because I think Gamera, I think I got an email about all of that. But yeah, as far as not mentioned stuff, we wanted to at least, as far as a last minute bit of information, let you guys know that there is a Kong Skull Island additional bit of side story, very similar to Camp Cretaceous. Maybe even if it's not in the same form of animation, keep an eye out for it.
There was even a Kong Skull Island prequel graphic novel where a bunch of army people got gobbled up by various creatures there, And I need to seek that out now that I found out about it personally. But there's a lot of story to tell on that island. So besides that, there's one. What up, Ray D? Thank you very much. Love you watching the show. So that's the Skull Island news. The other bit of news that I did not originally put in here is the unfortunate bit of Friday the 13th news that not only has there not been a decisive answer necessarily with the first lawsuit to do with Friday the 13th, but now Sean Cunningham has filed yet another lawsuit against Paramount and the other company, right? Which one? Paramount and one other company?
Well, we have a direct report from THR, who were the ones who broke this story earlier this week, and they say Friday the 13th producer Sean Cunningham has launched a new lawsuit over net profits from the horror franchise. According to a complaint filed on Thursday in Los Angeles Superior Court, the studios distributing the films have systematically misaccounted contingent compensation. So at this point, I feel like Homeboy just has an axe to grind, and he does not want this series to forge forward in any capacity, which is really vindictive and bitter in a lot of ways.
The thing is,
more fan films though. Shout out to Vince, man.
The thing is, if you really look at the situation, this is the next logical step for him, right? If he gets back the rights of, hey, I was a part of this, I do deserve some of the original rights. That also would mean that he had missed out on the profits of all of those sequels, and so ultimately he would have had to have done this at some point. It's just the fact that he's doing it right now, doubling up on everything, making us wait even longer before we get any new Jason material. That's the bummer part of it. He still is deserving of what he's asking for. It's just
I'm not denying
the timing of it sucks. I do like Jason Goes to Court. Jason Goes to Court.
Yeah, as opposed to Jason Goes to Hell, Jason Goes to Court. You see, the biggest thing in this franchise for me is that the iconic nature of the character was not settled in the first entry. And that was the only one that Sean was on as a producer or whatever, but he wasn't in a creative capacity when we got to the iconic look of Jason. He wasn't. And so for that reason, I feel like he is really trying to milk his initial association. And I know there's a lot of apologists for that first film. I like it, but I don't love it. I don't really feel like it. I mean, 2 is significantly, but it's like one of those franchises that I feel like got better and better.
Even Hockey Mask Jason, you can't have him without Pamela Voorhees, which was Sean's creation, right?
Okay, but
Jason is always going back to Mommy, and even
has the
part 2 and Mommy, the head is throughout the series.
Has the visual merchandising and all of the success of this franchise and all kinds of other money-making mediums really relied on Pamela Voorhees?
It stems from Pamela.
Well, just like it stems from Sean.
I understand. That's the point, though. That's the point. It all stems from his creation. We wouldn't have gotten Hockey Mask Jason as he was presented to us without Pamela. So,
but that's where
he deserves it.
Taking credit for that first film is totally okay. Once they,
it's not that he's taking credit for Hockey Mask Jason. He just wants his little piece.
Yeah,
which he deserves.
Well, the hockey mask didn't show up until the third film.
But that's still Pamela was featured heavily from that point on.
I still feel like that was a very visual sort of monetary aspect, but we
he
don't
didn't
need to
make money just because of the hockey mask. It was all put together.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the first official story.
Yes,
Fuego. What do you say?
I'm down for that. This is complex stuff for lawyers and internet nerds like us to debate and so on and so forth. But
so the first story is one that just broke
like 2 days
ago. A couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And that is that we are going to be getting an official sequel to the original Bad Robot produced Cloverfield movie. The one that J.J. Abrams helped create as well. Now, Fuego.
He didn't direct it.
He helped produce. He produced it, but now, Fuego. I don't know the details beyond that, so please hit me with it. Is it going to be found footage? Is it going to be?
That's the thing.
No. What characters are involved? No. Who are the actors in it, Fuego? Tell me all of this information, please.
That's the unfortunate thing. There's none of those details.
Get right out of town. Yeah, it's just a bullshit announcement.
And so, but yet a bullshit announcement from the Hollywood Reporter, which is like, I mean, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, and I mean, what else? I mean, there's like a trifecta of like some of the biggest EW,
TMZ.
maybe TMZ. No, not TMZ. But I mean, if you see something from like We Got This Covered, you need to really like scratch your head about if this is actually transpiring or not. But yes, THR, if they're reporting on genre stuff, you know, it's probably pretty much you know, in the closeness of it. But a official Cloverfield 2, as opposed to the 2 reproportioned movies that we got.
Reappropriated?
Yeah, so reappropriated. That's the better terminology. Dare I say, I never watched Paradox. I actually never watched it.
It was not good.
And I know that, and I know that a few Super Bowls ago, we're about to see a Super Bowl, and they announced Cloverfield Paradox coming out at the Super Bowl a few years ago. I thought 10 Cloverfield Lane was great, but that was never supposed to be a Cloverfield movie. They just did some...
But I contend that the Cloverfieldness of it made that movie all the better, because otherwise it was just your standard bunker movie.
Well, on Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Like, I mean, come on, guys. Let's be fair here. Yes, truly. But, yeah, I have grown a larger appreciation for that
That's
first
a good point,
movie.
Young and hypey.
Now, what do we got?
I said, do we need Cloverfield 2 anymore? Like, I would have killed for that 10 years ago. That is a valid point.
That's what I'm curious about.
And yet, I would kill for a new Cloverfield today, because it still was one of the coolest monster movies to come out. I will take anything that is a giant kaiju-sized monster movie. I love those as a horror fan, and I don't care if it was found footage. I thought that was a cool, unique way to do a kaiju-sized monster movie. So I was all about it, and I would be all about it if it's found footage for part 2 as well. So yeah, that's my personal opinion on it. But it is a valid point, Young and Hyphy.
Well, we do have some confirmation from the THR report that...
Thank you, Eddie, you too.
Yes, it is apparently not going to be a found footage film, and details of the take are being kept hidden under Central Park and... quote. So Paramount and Bad Robot, who have been working together with J.J. Abrams for a long period of time. I don't know. Matt Reeves. I think Matt Reeves did the previous one, right? 2009, 2008?
Might have been.
Something like that. But yeah, it was one that, being PG-13 horror, I didn't adore it quite as much as I possibly should have. But upon a rewatch and a part of just seeing the extent of the cast and everything else, and maybe even in this current day and age, because I rewatched it about a year, but no, it wasn't quite a year ago. It was like post Captain Trips, so yeah, I think it was like maybe April or May that I rewatched. Hits a lot harder, man.
It was Matt Reeves, yes.
Yeah.
I am excited about this, guys. I don't know how many other ways to say it. I just love giant monster movies, and when they're big studios like Paramount and big production companies like Bad Robot involved.
Bad Robot.
Bad Robot. I'm very into it. I don't care. I'm always going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and you can damn well be sure I will be in the theater to watch it, just like I will be braving the theater to watch Godzilla vs. Kong. I love these movies, and I cannot wait for more. So. Dive into story number 2?
Yes.
All right. That is Jared Leto and Darren Aronofsky to re-team.
Yes.
For the ghost ship horror movie called Adrift.
Yes. First time since Requiem for a Dream, and I mean, I gotta say, I'm trying to rack my brain if Darren has actually gone into full-fledged horror. Some people would argue Mother was, because they got the exclamation point, if that was like full-on horror or not. But Requiem wasn't even like necessarily. God, I just watched Jeremy John's like a rewatch of that review, and it was just awful. But I'm curious about this because of the fact that Jared Leto, despite the fact that he still finds himself in moderately mediocre films like The Little Things. The Little Things is not as bad as every reviewer is jumping on the bandwagon to tell you guys. It is not. It is Zodiac extended cut, slow, procedural, great performances,
I'm not watching it.
sort of bit. I liked it. I'm gonna review.
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm gonna review it on my own channel, I guess, at this point, which is fine. We don't have as much room here on the horror show, and it's not even full on horror. But nonetheless, Jared Leto has done so much from Fight Club to Requiem to even playing the Joker. He's apparently going to show up in some new scenes, which I almost submitted that as a possible story suggestion, but it didn't make any sense. March.
No, he's going to be Morbius, and
which also got delayed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
obviously he was in the new Blade Runner movie, even though I never watched it.
Yeah, man, I like Jared Leto a lot. But so he's going to be reteaming with Darren Aronofsky, and really per Deadline, which was because I was like Hollywood Reporter and so on. Another of the most prestigious places that you will find is Deadline reports that Requiem for a Dream filmmaker and star Darren Aronofsky will reteam for Adrift, which is a film adaptation of a short story called Suzuki, and the story is set in the dead calm of an open sea where a fishing boat discovers an abandoned yacht with a strange distress call. Wow, this kind of sounds like that Joe Hill a little bit. Anyway, a deckhand agrees to take lone control of it while it's towed into port, but soon he discovers why the rest of his more experienced crew members call it a ghost ship. So probably not like the Ghost Ship film, which was released a number of years ago. I don't know. Anything Aronofsky does, I don't know if you are in the same boat as me, where he's there with Nolan as some guys who emerged in the 90s who
I haven't seen all of his stuff. Is he the one that did The Fountain?
He did The Fountain?
Yeah, I haven't seen The Fountain. I think there's a couple of his that I haven't seen.
Yeah, I love Aronofsky, man.
Honestly,
and he did
Jeremy Jones's review of Requiem for a Dream was so accurate because it did mess me up when I watched it when I was young.
Oh yeah, and there's a film called In the Ground, I think, which was very Requiem for a Dream influence, which was by Ben Wheatley at Sundance that I just watched. Amazing. But seeing these guys paired together, this is where it's tough when a project is initially just announced and we're trying to give you any thoughts possible about it.
So moving on from that, the next one is a new A24 project.
Yeah.
That is going to feature none other than character actress extraordinaire. I don't know that you could name a more prolific character actor, right? You can't call them actresses anymore. Than Tilda Swinton.
There's some women who still like to be called actresses, but now there's
she's done so much
female actor.
Cool
I mean,
shit. Didn't
so
she
much cool
play?
Shit.
Was she in Constantine?
I'm unfortunately guilty of confusing Tilda Swinton with Cate Blanchett all the
Tilda Swinton, I know,
time.
was in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movies. I know that. She was the White Queen in that. However, I believe she also played Lucifer in something. I know Lucifer in Constantine was Peter Stormare, but I think she was in it as well, playing something. Anyway, she is so phenomenal. Yeah. She does a great job with animated movies as well when she appears. I believe Tilda Swinton... Okay, so here's the thing.
Thank you for buying me time as I bring up the
you guys tell me who's the one that plays Hiccup's mom in the How to Train Your Dragon movies, because it could be Cate Blanchett.
Well, if it's just voice, like, I can always tell the difference between the two of them.
Oh yeah, she was in We Need to Talk About Kevin. Yeah, she was in Doctor Strange. That's right. She was the original ancient one.
Yeah, which a lot of people took like major issue with, because of the fact that they went for an androgynous female character. I want to say she played Bob Dylan in I'm Not Really Here or I'm Not Here, but maybe that was Blanchett. God, that's where I don't want to... Like, that is the one time where I will try to, give a...
That's how good of a chameleon Tilda Swinton is. She could be Cate Blanchett.
She can do anything,
and we would never know.
In fact, maybe they are, in fact, the same...
Have we ever seen them together in the same place at the same time?
Have they been photographed together? Have Tilda Swinton and Cate Blanchett... Mikey, come on, man, help me out. All of my friends across the pond. Bert, I mean, shit, dude. Let's get some confirmation about that. But I mean, anything A24 is so just on the knuckle for me. I was supposed to, before I decided I was gonna try to watch all this Sundance crap this weekend, as I told Cecil, I was like, should we go see Saint Maud? Because at least here in the States, Saint Maud just came out. That is a prolific religious A24 horror thriller that has been off delayed. And a lot of people, like, dude, film critic friends of mine saw this like a year and a half ago in 2019. Ooh. That's how long it's been sitting around. But it's going to be on Epix next month, and we're going to check it out then. But whether even controversial stuff like It Comes at Night, I mean, let's just take a quick peek at this. So it's apparently going to be entitled The Eternal Daughter, and it reteams the Oscar winner of Tilda Swinton with director Joanna Hogg. So it's going to be her reteaming with another female director that she has done some dastardly deeds with previously. And the mystery drama currently is in post-production, so they've shot it already, which is really exciting. Story of a middle-aged daughter and her elderly mother who must confront long-buried secrets when they return to their former family home, a once grand manor that has become a nearly vacant hotel brimming with mystery. So when I hear that, it seems a little more by the books. Mm-hmm. It seems almost like Relic-ish, which we saw last year. Rediscovery, it's been a big thing in a lot of these art house, like horror exploration sort of films where they're like, let's find what the real sordid past is all about. But they don't do it with hefty scares. They do it more so with emotional, combative interactivity, I think is the best way I can describe it. You know, all those tensions of being within a family. Mm-hmm. And A24, I watch pretty much everything that they put out, but I'm not as into this. You've liked a few of their things. You like Black Ghost.
I've liked a few. We'll see what happens. I'll have to wait for a trailer, but
that's where it's tough with.
I like the pedigree of Tilda Swinton, so.
Amen.
Moving on to the next one, Fuego. That is that we have a official star for Andre Overdoll's upcoming Dracula-based film, which is called what?
At least the working title is, I'm trying to scroll down to it because I know it's based on a Dracula side story. He's laughing because he's just like, you're fired. Boom.
I thought you were going to be ready with it.
So this is one that is based on Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this was like a Dracula sort of side story of sorts, but really more so than anything, Corey Hawkins, who was on The Walking Dead, he also played Dr. Dre in the awesome biopic Straight Outta Compton, and he was in Kong Skull Island. And there's rumor that he is going to be like aged up with some makeup and returning in this new one, you know, because you've got all of that lore coming. But so basically, Andre Overdoll, I don't know if you guys have seen Autopsy of Jane Doe, or I wasn't as big on this superhero movie that he did earlier this year. I want to say it was called Mortal. It was with one of the Wolf Kids. I think he plays I think he plays Flag's guy in The Stand. Anyway, totally unimportant. But Andre Overdoll, as you were familiar with, also did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. He is a very talented Scandinavian director, and he's been wanting to do this like Dracula spinoff for quite the while. And this is apparently going to be an Amblin Pictures situation. So he is just getting himself higher and higher in the production quotient. Zach Alkiewicz, Bullet Train. Anyway, the film is based on a single chapter of the Captain's Log from Bram Stoker's classic 87 Dracula, and I'm assuming this is where they're transporting the crate and just all of the nasty, red flags and just tension and situation of something powerful being in their transportation. I'm stoked about this. Once again, this is another tough one where we kind of scraped the barrel for everything from this month that was of significant, stuff to announce.
It's okay, it doesn't mean we have to spend forever on everything.
Yeah, but I mean, are you stoked about this little like pocket of Dracula where we would talk about the ship?
I'll give anything a try, and the fact that it's not the same Dracula story again, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, drastically different.
I'm interested in that. Yeah. Now, the next one is a little bit more close to my heart because I have read this entire series.
And this is where you will give more than me since I...
they have decided on the full main cast for Netflix's live-action adaptation of The Sandman, which is a multi-award-winning comic book series written and created by Neil Gaiman. And it's funny because someone had posted on Facebook that Gwendolyn Christie had been cast as something, and I was like, we were trying to figure out which character would make the most sense. I was like, oh, would it be Delirium or, one of the other ones? And it turns out that Gwendolyn Christie, and if you don't know, that is the very tall woman from Game of Thrones. She is going to be Lucifer, which is actually very appropriate. Although technically, this Sandman's Lucifer is the same as the DC Universe Lucifer, so it should be Tom Ellis from the Lucifer TV show.
So was that some retconning? Because I know with the Vertigo imprint being tossed away and them...
That doesn't matter. The Sandman is the Vertigo imprint.
Okay.
So,
but they're not doing Vertigo anymore, right?
I understand that doesn't matter though.
Oh, I know. I'm asking you.
No, but the Lucifer that was involved was the same Lucifer from the Hellblazer comic and all of that from the Vertigo, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't think I am.
Man, in the Hellblazer stuff too?
Yeah, because that's all the Vertigo universe.
Okay, well...
But I could be wrong.
I didn't know it was a shared universe amongst Constantine and Swamp Thing.
I could be wrong. Maybe they did do a different one that is the blonde-headed Lucifer. Nonetheless, I could be wrong. Again, it's probably been 15 years since I've read it, so...
Yeah, I think the biggest...
Forgive me if I'm wrong, guys.
Yeah, I think the biggest, coolest thing to mention here is that they've been trying to do Sandman as either a feature film or as a television series for the longest time. I'm so glad that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he was trying to make it into a movie. And he wanted to do a succession of movies and everything, which is fine, but this feels, even though I haven't really read much between Nocturnes and
Preludes and Nocturnes.
Preludes and Nocturnes. Yeah, I haven't really read much of anything beyond that. I am increased in my intrigue because of the fact that there is this big Lock and Key Sandman crossover that's about to transpire, and so I definitely feel like I need to dip deeper into the lore, but this just makes so much more sense as a television series. I don't know, Netflix kind of defanged and declawed certain things like Umbrella Academy and Lock and Key in comparison with Prime and HBO Max and stuff for Doom Patrol. So I don't know. I know this is a very R-rated franchise. Boyd Holbrook, obviously Gwendolyn Christie, like you mentioned. There's a lot of bigger names that a lot of my friends who are deep into Vertigo and reside overseas and all hail Neil Gaiman. There is that sort of.
So who are they? Go ahead, read each person, so that way everyone knows.
Yeah. Okay.
This is going as a podcast later too.
Okay. So that's the thing. I don't have extensive casting beyond a lot of these names.
Yeah,
so
well, go ahead.
Dream, who is the Lord of Dreaming, is going to be Tom Sturridge.
That is the Sandman.
Okay. Then we have Gwendolyn Christie, as you mentioned, which is Lucifer, the ruler of hell, no doubt. And then we have Vivian Achampong, who is playing Lucien, who is the chief librarian and trusted guardian of Dream's realm. Boyd Holbrook is the Corinthian and escaped nightmare who wishes to taste all that the world has in store. Charles Dance, now I know Charles Dance for sure. Yeah, exactly. Is Roderick Burgess, charlatan, blackmailer, and magician. And then we have Asim Chaudhry is Abel, and then we have Sanjeev Bhaskar, who is Cain, the first victim and the first predator, residents and loyal subjects of the Dream Realm. That's actually crazy, being raised in the church myself, because with Cain and Abel playing some sort of factor into the proceedings,
their rivalry continues into the book.
That is nuts to me. Even in the afterlife, even after death. Still...
So that's interesting. They don't even touch on the rest of the Endless. They only have Dream's casting there.
Or maybe these
Dream is one of the 7 Endless. So that's interesting that we only hear about his casting so far. Yeah, so they may not get to the Endless right away. There's Death, though. If they're doing a Sandman series and they debut Death, I guarantee Death will get a spin-off series. Because she's the one that so many goth girls modeled themselves after forever after. She's the one that would wear the ankh with the black hair that would stop about right here. Everyone knows Death. Okay. So once Death debuts in the series, then they're gonna have to do a spin-off series, I guarantee.
And now I'm thinking of that quote, Death. I'll show you Death.
Yeah, it'll be the Sandman's Ahsoka spin-off is what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
All right, so next story, Fuego. one close to near and dear to your heart.
Yes, indeed.
Bam.
Yes. So we talked about this briefly in the Hail to Stephen King Facebook group just the other day, because we had the not unexpected announcement that Stephen King has a new book that is coming out called Billy Summers, and is coming out August 3rd in a hardcover. There was even a small excerpt, and I mean, just kind of like a synopsis is probably a better way of describing it. And it's essentially, have you seen any of this? Have you heard any
just what you've been putting in the
any
Hail
peep
group
about this? Okay, so yeah, there's essentially...
It's a serial killer story, not really, right? Not like a normal... what I saw was your comment saying, I'm more partial to the more supernatural
I like supernatural
stuff.
Stephen King stories compared
and this is not
to...
that.
Yeah, this is continuing at least within the realm of the first two Mr. Mercedes trilogy stuff, like Finders Keepers, Mr. Mercedes, also the hard-boiled crime stuff that we've become so accustomed to. It seems to be his jam at this particular point, and I've grown to enjoy it. He's actually upped my appreciation in a lot of ways, and there's a big ongoing joke. Hail to Stephen King Facebook group. If you guys want to join, we just crossed 1,000, and it's funny there because there's a lot of people joking that, oh, Holly's going to be in this too, right? Isn't Holly going to be the person who joins up with said main character? And people are over it, Cy. I love you, man, but El Rey, you need to just kind of give it a wee bit of a rest of sorts. But yeah, I'm very curious about this one, and as I said previously, anytime King is putting a book out in early spring, like it's not even spring, I mean later, the new Stephen King book comes out a month from like Tuesday. It's called Later. Oh, wow. It comes out March 2nd. It's a hard-boiled crime novel, or hard case crime, I believe is the imprint that he publishes in when he's not doing Simon & Schuster. But this new one is about a former Iraq military vet who has become a hitman, but he only kills bad people. That's his thing. Haven't we heard this trope? Haven't we heard this trope before?
Nah,
that's where I'm just like,
new.
Yeah, I'm like, King has, never written something like this before, but I'm not as like amped about this. If it's somewhere between American Sniper and Leon the Professional, I mean, hey man, I'm totally okay with that. But they say that there is going to be an unlikely pairing in this book, and that's where I'm like, is it going to be like Natalie Portman as a kid and Leon? Is it going to be like Holly or some other weirdness? I don't know where they're going with it, but it's over 500 pages, and you guys can check it out on August 3rd. I've pre-ordered it already, the Audible already. I'm going to be all set and game and ready to go, and obviously to hear all of your thoughts and discussions and insights about this one. But I'm intrigued, but I can't say that I'm hyped. I can't say that I've been hyped about as much King lately, aside from when we knew If It Bleeds was coming, but that's because I knew it was going to be 4 different stories that did not necessarily interlock and were completely different. So does this premise intrigue you, or does it sound like kind of rebeaten path? Because that's where it's kind of sounding like...
I don't care at all, but I will take my talk time to mention Austin Bunnell, who just donated $7 across 2 comments saying, I'm excited for this book. I feel King has been on the upswing since the early 2000s, even with a couple of his more recent ones falling flat. I wouldn't mind if Jerome made an appearance. Not sure who Jerome is that he's referring to.
He is part of basically the quartet that Hodges has made amongst Holly and
gotcha.
Yeah, he's great.
Austin, I highly recommend, if you haven't watched them yet, Fuego did a 5-part tier list ranking of all the Stephen King books that have come out up to this point, plus the 6th part, which was a ranking of the short collections. So go check that out if you haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, I think Austin is well aware. He is a longtime supporter, man.
Awesome.
Long days and pleasant nights, dude.
Mr. Jackson, can't wait for Dylan's New Nightmare. Thank you very much, sir. I actually was just texting with Miko yesterday. So we are in touch and ready to spring once things start getting good. So, all right, Fuego, next story.
Okay, so this is one of the stories of like immense disappointment, and it's already been discussed amongst many Stephen King groups, I would imagine, but Mike Flanagan has done some of the best Stephen King adaptation work in the, basically since the King-assance between Gerald's Game, Dr. Sleep, the guy seems to really just know, appreciate, respect the property in ways more so than anybody since really like Rob Reiner or Frank Darabont.
It's for you, drummer.
Really knows, man. And all of us went apeshit when they said that he was writing a script. And this is where Matty Jorson, you need to try to track down that script. He's the one who hooked me up with some scripts for a few other things that I'm going to leave unnamed. But yeah, Maddie, if you can track down the script that Mike Flanagan wrote for Revival, because it's not going to happen anymore at this particular point, as he divulged on a Stephen King podcast that has been going for a while, checking out The Stand. It's called In the Company of the Damned, I think, and it's available anywhere you can find podcasts. But they basically were rereading The Stand, and they were taking on guests here and there, one of which was Mike Flanagan, and he just very nonchalantly was like, yeah, after the just failed just monetary compensation and hype and everything, they thought Doctor Sleep was going to crush, dude, and it didn't. And so based on that, he's working on this smaller, like relatively unknown Psy-King property, probably the darkest, most gothic thing that he has written in the new millennium. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to let you do it, at least with the budget that you want. And based on that, he was just like, hey, peace out. I'm working on so much stuff with Netflix and, my wife, and trying to develop other things. So that's not to say Revival will not get made, but I think I've talked to you a few times about this story and the fact that it gets crazy in the third act, and it's all about this struggling, drug-addicted, hearing loss guy who has a relationship with a pastor at one particular point who is obsessed with trying to channel energy from another dimension, whether it's recharging batteries.
Dimension?
Yeah, another dimension, another dimension, another dimension. Yeah,
another dimension.
Yeah, so he's trying to like recharge batteries and get electrical currents and stuff like that from areas that he can't necessarily define. And Charles Jacobs is one of Stephen King's most intriguing characters, and I'm sad that Flanagan is not going to be doing this, and that maybe we won't see it at all. It's a big-time bummer to constant readers like myself. So,
if you're sad, I'm sad, Fuego.
You should be, dude, because this would be so good.
Austin throws us another $5 saying, bummed. This is his best novel in 20 years, in my opinion. I just got the signed limited edition this summer.
Yeah. Yep, as did I. It was like leather-bound, and it had the slipcase and everything, and yeah.
Ben Grimm says, another dimension, new galaxy.
Was that what you were thinking? Another dimension, new galaxy.
Another dimension. Don't let the beat
drop.
Do it.
Like a pinch on the neck from Mr. Spock.
Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic. Yes, that's what I was going for. Okay.
That's what I was going for, too.
I love it. All right. Sharon says, I guess I'd rather wait for Revival to be done right. Don't Dark Tower it. Hey, that's a fair point.
Okay, well, this is where it would have been done right, with the person involved.
That's true.
It's just, and Sharon, thank you so much for the constant support as well. But, damn, this was the right situation. It just makes me so sad.
I like Cloverfield. Looking forward to what they come up with at the sequel. Those little buggers were freaky. Yeah, the little ones that dropped off the big one. All right, Fuego, let's move into the next story. Okay? So, that takes us to Rey Santiago.
Yes, I was so...
Pablo!
I was so incredibly excited when I saw that for this Evil Dead game that is upcoming, that they were going to have Kelly involved in the proceedings, but they were also going to have like that knight from Army of Darkness, and I think the other major male character from The Evil Dead, the original film. But I was clamoring. I was like, okay, where's Pablo? Where's Pablo? What is going on? Where is Pablo? What's going on?
And is it first season Pablo or is it ripped Pablo?
Yeah, because he did kind of.
He's like, my shirt's gonna be off. I'm going to take care of this.
I'm gonna chisel, bro. But I'm super stoked that this film is that this. I
kind of agree, Mikey.
Oh, what's he saying?
Mikey said, I'm kind of pissed. I kind of peed the Evil Dead game as multiplayer. Yeah, I would have much rather have had a Evil Dead single player story game, like we got in the Xbox, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
like
where there was like
a survival horror game.
Okay, where there was like Kale of the King or
yeah. I would rather have had a survival horror game than a Left 4 Dead clone.
Ashes to Ashes, I think was another.
I have never played Left 4 Dead. However, if you get the Evil Dead game, and Marcia gets the Evil Dead game, and I get the Evil Dead game, and Andrew gets the Evil Dead game, we could literally all play together. I can record it, hear everyone, and we could play the Evil Dead game and do those as Let's Plays. So I think we'll definitely have to do that.
Yeah, so this is an upcoming game, and I'm sure you guys know, like tons and tons about it. And just like there was multiple announcements recently, because we scooted over about the fact that the next Resident Evil is coming soon, and the fact that we have a Mortal Kombat video game. I had a few different notes that we didn't end up like totally jumping on Crazoid in this, but. Yeah, man. I'm okay with multiplayer as long as it's collaborative. I'm like one of those co-op guys. I prefer couch play, but I don't like deathmatch sort of situation, and I do prefer a story. So if you can all play a story together, it's why I loved, Diablo 2 so much. It's why I loved Secret of Mana. It's why I like stuff like that where you could play in real time along with your friends, and you can all experience the same story together in certain nuances. If this is just going to be like a group play sort of thing, that's the one aspect I hadn't really researched. That's
what it looks like.
Yeah, I was just all stoked about the extent of characters and whatnot.
No, it looks like it's going to be Left 4 Dead, where it's just 4 people versus, in Left 4 Dead's case, zombies. In this case, deadites.
Yeah.
Ben Grimm says it's probably going to be more like Friday the 13th, where there's one killer and the rest are survivors, but I didn't get that impression from the trailer that we got. It looked like a first-person shooter that 4 people can cooperate on. So, Ben, if that's the case, I'd be surprised. Brooks, hi from the UK. What's up? Good to see you.
What's going?
Mikey Mnemonic says it's looking like the Friday the 13th game. So if that's the case, guys,
that's the same vibe I was
if that's the case, where were the bosses? Where's the bad guy that you can be and chase down the good guys? That's why I thought Left 4 Dead, where it's just 4-player co-op shooting up against the Deadites.
It's not first person though, isn't Left 4 Dead first person?
I thought it was first person. Is it third person?
I think it's third person.
Well, but it's still a shooter. Okay, so maybe that's where they're getting the. I read.
I mean, you guys correct me.
So Ben says I read one player is going to be the bad guy. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I don't think that's as good an idea. I mean, then it's just copying Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
and there's not as big of a cool bad guy.
I must say, and I ranted about this recently, I'm so over first-person shooter, man. I like even franchises that weren't first-person previously, i.e. Resident Evil, are segueing into a first-person sort of perspective. If it's VR, like you were talking about, but I mean, I still like being able to control a character and have like the switch back and forth ability. I'm not a big-time gamer though, so maybe I'm just that cranky guy, sitting on my porch bitching about stuff that I used to like before. But I was like a 3D platformer person, and before that it was like the Metroidvania 2D, and Mario and sort of situation. So
Mikey is making me think, so you have to survive the night by collecting pages of the Necronomicon and upgrading/fortifying the cabin. So that to me sounds like Call of Duty Zombies with upgrading and fortifying your play area. But Slender Man by going to find pages like the Necronomicon. It seems like a mishmash. I don't know. We'll have to see how this. Once the game trailer comes out and they're like officially announcing it, then I'll know for sure. But we'll see. It'd be cool if they made a third-person Army of Darkness story-driven single-player game like they did with Mad Max. That I agree with, Ray D. But Ash doesn't get to go very far. You can't have open world when, he doesn't really go that many places. Well, right? Especially when it's all at night.
Well, in 1 and 2, he didn't go very many places. If it was an Army of Darkness game, I mean, yeah, he would have much larger travel.
But then you're fantasy game territory, and it's weird. Have you guys heard of the Resident Evil Reverse game? Yes, RE-verse. That is also a first-person shooter. But the nice thing about that, or third-person shooter, whatever, the nice thing about that is it's a free edition that comes with Resident Evil 8 when you purchase it.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who owns like every Resident Evil game, and dude, I own the weird Chronicles that were like the light gun games, and there's a couple others that I mean I haven't even beaten all of them, but nonetheless I still prefer more so than anything like the more old school like third person.
You haven't tried Resident Evil 7 outside of VR. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. This one's gonna be good. Plus we get the sexiest vampirist. It's an 8-foot tall.
Is that the chick with the hat?
Yeah, Victorian vampire chick that. The meme is "Step on Me," you know. Like
I didn't know who she was. Does she tie in with the previous game?
No, she's apparently the sister of the main crazy guy that you fought in the last game.
Okay, and I know Chris Redfield is supposed to be a part of it.
Oasis, hey, love your channel. I got a big Stephen King book collection and read it. Good job, Oasis.
Yes,
it's my favorite book now, so thanks for recommending. Yeah, Fuego and his Stephen King crowd. I mean, you know, it's solid. It's solid for sure. Death by Snoo Woman. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Mikey.
Snoo loves Snoo.
All right, so let's go into story number 9.
Yeah.
Fueguissimo. That is Mr. Carpenter.
Yeah. This is a very vague.
Mr. Carpenter.
It's a very
direct me a movie.
A little bit of vagueness from him, and we don't know what he's doing. But, you know, I feel like he needs to do something after the Ward, because
That's what I thought,
the Ward
Dale.
was the last
That's
movie.
what I thought I heard, that she was the sister of someone from the first game, I assume Jack. Anyway.
Anybody see the Ward?
Yeah, I like the Ward.
It's all right.
The John Carpenter movie with Amberly Heard.
I thought it was Nadine.
Yep,
My
it was
goodness,
Nadine.
yes,
yep.
a pre-married to Johnny Depp Nadine.
A pre-Aqualass Nadine.
I am actually
I was really happy to see her on death's door at the end of the most recent Stand.
I'm actually very excited to talk about this new incarnation of the Stand, because
I am too. I was tempted to do it while Marsha was here. But she was
I hate so much of it. I have grown to like a lot of it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's equal parts that I hate as much as I actually like.
Yeah, whereas like the last one, I was like, yeah, I like this. It's cool. You know, this one, I'm just like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then there's other parts where I'm just like, why are they doing this? What the hell?
I actually thought that the
more hot and cold.
Darkman's reveal was much lamer than the cooler change in the original series, where he was like the big devil kind of guy.
Oh, okay, when they went.
And this one, he's just like a tar-covered freak, you know, like banging Nadine.
That's what in the 8th of Silver. That's what those guys actually look like, the new werewolves.
Really?
Yeah.
Those like just burn victims?
Yeah, kind of burn victims, slimy, grayish kind of craziness. And they're werewolves. Anyway, so John Carpenter, after doing The Ward over 10 years ago, which I didn't despise, but I mean, if that's going to be your swan song, that's kind of whatever. He's been really into revisiting music lately with his kid and with a few other people, which I mean, all of us have been buying vinyls and stuff from, you know, him helping out the new franchise. But basically, he says, I'm working on a couple of things, but I'm not doing anything for a while until the world comes back and rights itself. It's insane now. It's nuts. I'm not going to go out there and get sick. So maybe what that really boils down to is the fact that he has had ideas for a while. Maybe they could have been spearheaded and just like pushed forward a little more rapidly. But hey, it's, as you know, with Dylan's New Nightmare, filming a movie right now is so insanely difficult. It's why a lot of people aren't even trying it, whether TV or movie. They're just not even bothering. Just not even trying, man. You know? So, but yeah, I would love to see Carpenter do one more thing. And I don't want it to be a remake or a continuation or anything in that regard of something that he has done before. I want it to be a completely new idea. Deborah Hill, we know, is no longer around, unfortunately, and she produced most of the stuff with him. But I don't know. One last John Carpenter film. What do you think?
I'm game. I'm always game for John Carpenter. I mean, he's a talent, and especially if he scores it. Bert Vedder says his third album is coming soon. Lost Themes 3 has some great tracks so far. I listened to Lost Themes 1 and 2. I listened to the first
new release.
I listened to Lost Themes 1 and 2 when I read a lot of times, and man, they're really cool. Really, really cool music. All right, so let's go to the final, which is the simplest, but lots of updates for release dates.
Yep, and this
Hollywood is broken.
is it not obvious?
And so we got new release dates, which probably won't end up being final release dates.
Yeah. But this is where we just want to ask all of you guys, please chime through in the comments. Whatever part of the world that you are in, do you think there is a feasible resurgence in this year, whether you're in the UK or somewhere in North America, like, Canada or the States or Mexico or whatever.
Mexico.
Eastern Asia, or wherever it may be. And, do you think this is possible? I mean, the Chinese box office has kind of done okay. Stuff just keeps being delayed here, and a lot of the biggest, most tentpole releases, they keep wanting big sort of global releases. Damn, where is this? Because I switched things around. So we did get some official dating for some of the biggest stuff, which one of my most anticipated is James Wan's *Malignant*. Mm-hmm. James Wan is returning to horror and not just producing, but actually directing. And dude, this was, I believe...
Morbius got moved to next year, Ben.
Yeah, 2022 for
2022.
Morbius. Yeah, January 2022. We were going to touch on that at some particular point, but...
I mean, we don't need to spend a ton of time on each
and
one.
That's and that's where it's tough. I'm going to try to just speed through as much as possible.
But *Malignant* is a big deal.
*Malignant* is a big deal. It's
James Wan's first directorial effort in how long? Since
Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, since Aquaman, returning to R-rated horror, which he has assured us is going to be R-rated horror, comes out just a little before myself and Cecil's birthdays. Now releasing on September 10th of 2021, and rated R for strong horror, violence, gruesome images, language described as an original thriller not based on any existing IP. We've got lots of names that do not ring a bell. So that actually, as far as everything Creepy Puppet does, Maddie Hassan, McKenna Grace, I think the logo gives me major Us vibes. You with me on that a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how well you guys can see that.
I can see a little bit.
Yeah. I'm getting vibes of Us, like with the hand within the glove and like the sword and stuff like that. But once again, very similar to a couple other things we're going to briefly breeze through as far as release dates go. We don't have a full extent as to what this is, but anything James Wan doing horror, even if it's coming in September, man, it's a weird new landscape. Mm-hmm. Another one is going to be Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho, which has also been redated for October 22nd. So we're talking it's going to be trudging through that same sort of area as Dune, as Halloween Kills. It's going to be a very, very congested sort of landscape, but this one has Anya Taylor-Joy, Thomasin McKenzie, and it's set in London's Soho district during the swinging 60s, and yes, it's supposed to be very different, psychedelic craziness. Edgar Wright obviously did... our trilogy with our dudes, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and The World's End, and has done all kinds of other awesomeness like Baby Driver, stylistic director to a T. He has a documentary that is out right now that just debuted at Sundance, which is exciting. But October 22nd, 2021, Edgar Wright, the director of Shaun of the Dead, returning to horror, and you guys gotta be excited about that.
Not just Shaun of the Dead, but Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
That's the one I forgot to mention. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I talked about Baby Driver and so many other things. Scott Pilgrim is rad status based on a comic book. So I
got them pulled up for you here.
Okay, Putimus. So as we continue, guys, this is a movie that Cecil and I were supposed to see.
This was on our most anticipated of last year.
Well, and we had press for it right before the pandemic.
Oh, that's
this
right.
This movie actually has been seen by...
You wound me, sir.
This movie has been seen by a lot of critics already, and we are talking about A Quiet Place Part 2.
But even John's mentioned that it got canceled right before his showing, so he didn't get to see it.
Yeah, so the select few that were at in early March, the world premiere of this movie has been seen in its finished form, although that makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if it's been tinkered with since then.
Yeah. Because I'm still so excited about this. A Quiet Place 1 was one of my favorite fucking movies of that year and one of my favorite horror movies of recent times.
Yeah. It was tremendous. And I still remember us sitting in that critic line where we didn't have the like reserved seating we were just like hanging and then we ended up getting in and it was so goddamn good.
Yep.
Holy crap, man. So many memories with this guy, everybody. But this one comes out help to take me back again.
Let the corners of my mind. Sorry.
This one is after various delays at this particular point, and they just delayed it again. Now it is supposedly coming in September 17th, so a week after the aforementioned James Wan film that I mentioned. We got that, man. We have just further trying our damnedest to get through these wild times of just consistently shifting releases and whatnot. And then we already mentioned Morbius being shifted to 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine how this is going for a lot of these superhero series that they're like, okay, we have like a timeline where these events in this movie are supposed to happen in this one, and then maybe post-credits in this one lead into this one.
Well, because Venom and Carnage, but they haven't officially delayed Venom and Carnage until next year.
Carnage is still supposedly coming in the summer. So
it doesn't make sense. This should be before that, so I think this is just a precursor. I'm
or
gambling.
Maybe it's totally its own thing.
No, I'm gambling that Venom and Carnage is going to be pushed.
It's going to get moved?
I'm gambling it's going to get moved.
Wow.
I would say so. If this got moved, that has to get moved.
This movie has been moved for like a year and a half now at this particular point. If this is coming out, so Morbius with Jared Leto, who we talked about earlier, now January 21st,
basically a year minus 10 days from now.
It's bonkers. And it was already supposed to come out last fall. So we've been waiting quite the while, and don't take our word for it, because a lot of this stuff, like things get pushed forward, pushed back. I mean, hell, Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah.
Push it forward, back. All right. This one's next, Fuego, because it's the next one I selected.
Yeah, I'm loving you going with the. Oh, goodness.
Temple of the Dog.
Temple of the Dog. I was thinking Dog of the Moon, and I'm like, no, that's a buddy of mine.
Dog
and I
of
went
the
to
Moon.
Push Him Forward, man. Chris Cornell, rest peacefully.
Yeah.
All right, so Ghostbusters Afterlife, the film that apparently has the return of the surviving Ghostbusters, but not in stupid cameos like we had in the Girlbusters, where they weren't even playing themselves. We were apparently going to have Venkman and the rest of the crew, at least in some capacity, coming along with Paul Rudd, Finn Wolfhard, and a few others. This was a movie that we were supposed to see earlier this summer, and now it has been delayed once again to November, because there is still... This is what I want the chat to once again give some credence to. Do you really think that North American and even global theaters are going to be able to... Is this foolish on their part to keep waiting it out and thinking that they can just keep delaying as opposed to dropping on a streaming service or a premium VOD?
I think it's a terrible position to be in. I think that no one wants to give up the theatrical experience, but I don't think I don't think that many people are going to want to go until the vaccine has been widespread and people are okay. And even then, there's going to be some skeptical people. So I don't think the theaters are ever going to fully go away.
I hope not.
I think they'll probably, if anything, become more like vinyl, where it's special and it costs more money to go do, but it'll still be available. Again, the deal with the big studios and theaters is now over. Now Disney is able to create their own theaters. So you're going to see you're going to see some vastly different theatrical experiences when all is said and done, and it's going to be catered by the big boys. So imagine a Disney animated movie, but in the form of a theater. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to go that far out to make it such a singular experience that you'll have to bring your kids regularly and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, if going to a theater in that regard, if Disney elevates it even more so, is almost like going to a theme park. If it's the Dolby that you and I have encountered, that, and if they amp that up to 11 and make it even more increasingly insane with that just full immersive sort of experience, that's what for selective movies, I would be very down to go and, experience in that regard. But this is one that I'm actually very curious about, and happened for a while with Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son, coming on to direct and whatnot. It just, some of the air has to be like out of my sails at this point as I continue seeing stuff like this and the No Time to Die, and so many of these movies that have been delayed, like going on 2 years now at this point, like the Bond movie and various others. It's discouraging, and it just makes you wonder when we will either find a healthy medium or the camel's hump will break. So.
Ray D says, well, Blockbuster died eventually. So here's the difference, though. Blockbuster was just an avenue for us to watch movies. That avenue is no longer needed with streaming services and online rentals and everything. Blockbuster still exists. It's just not Blockbuster. Now it's Amazon Prime and, all the places that you can rent a movie. People still rent movies. They just rent them digitally now. And Blockbuster itself died, yes, but the experience of going to see movies is a 100-year-old venture, 100-plus-year-old venture at this point. That is never going to go away.
I don't think so.
It's never going. It will become boutique and, highfalutin, as it were, but it is never going to go away. There will be boutique theaters that will still offer the theatrical experience. You already saw the emergence of dinner and alcohol allowing theaters, and that revitalized the theatrical industry for a while. That's not going to go away. People still want the experience of going to see movies, on a big screen with an awesome sound system, and yes, with a crowd. We'll get to a point where it's either going to be socially distanced or it won't happen until the vaccine is widespread and everyone's comfortable going out again. But it will happen. We will get the theatrical experience back again. It might not be in the form that we see it in now or have seen it in for the last however many decades, but it will never die. Mark my words.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for too, man, because of the fact that there's nothing, at least for me, compared to seeing a big budget, just bombast, spectacle, so to speak. And this is one that is not of this particular regard, but Guillermo del Toro is gonna pretty much finish out the last of our discussion here. Mm-hmm. So Kerry Russell's Antlers was supposed to come out, I think a year and a half ago at this particular point, and it has been bumped. It was produced by Guillermo del Toro, which we were excited about, and it's dealing with some, I want to say Native American folklore, but I'm not 100%, based on a short story, The Quiet Boy, by a Channel Zero alumni. But this is one that is going to be making its way into theaters, or so they're saying right now. And remember, take this all with a grain of salt, because shiftability has been so in flux in the last a year or so. But October 29th, 2021. So at this point, between James Wan, between Halloween Kills, between this film, there is an abundance of stuff coming out in the fantastic month of October. Now, Candyman, I believe, is coming out in either August or September. Supposedly. I believe was when Nia DaCosta's film was supposed to be coming out as well. So keep an eye on that. But last but not least, I think this is his first feature since winning all of the Oscars for The Shape of Water, mm-hmm. but none other than Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley, which has a ridiculous cast of people, has now been dated for December 3rd of 2021. An ambitious young carny with a talent for manipulating people with a well-chosen word hooks up with a female psychiatrist who is even more dangerous than he is. So, premise on paper, I can't say I'm supremely stoked, but, Guillermo del Toro, and then the cast, which includes, listen to this just masterclass, as I was joking earlier with Marcia. You got Bradley Cooper, you got Cate Blanchett, you got Toni Collette, who we had seen from Hereditary, Willem Dafoe, Richard Jenkins, who he worked with previously on The Shape of Water, Rooney Mara, who I adore, Ron Perlman, Mary Steenburgen. Man, this cast is stacked as hell. It's presumably a period piece, with the whole traveling circus sort of situation. I don't know much about the source material or whatever, but I'd say more so than anything, just the fact that we have, Guillermo returning to directing, and he still has his Pinocchio movie he's producing too, that stop motion. So he's staying as a very, very busy guy. But does this seem like American Horror Story with twisty kind of premise to you in any degree, or am I just based on the time period and the fact that it's carny, similar, being judgmental?
No, yeah, not everything is going to be twisty. That was all about the sideshow and the freaks and everything. This is just about a particular carny. So I think it could be completely different, and with the cast involved, it's crazy.
Yeah, based on a 1946 novel. So I don't know. I'm just curious. Something Wicked This Way Comes is another great one about traveling circus stuff that I really love. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it, though, right, Fuego?
Guess it is. Yes, that is us. Giving our impressions about everything that happened news-wise over the course of the month of September. There was a few things that we omitted that we didn't think were... Man, I said November.
You said September.
Did I? I thought I said November.
No, you said September.
Who's the booze? Thanks. No, everything in January. Derps, dudes. But yeah, man, this was nice to get properly caught up on all the comings of this previous month.
Indeed. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe. We'll be back again probably towards the end of next month to do the News with Booze once again. We want to try and do this monthly and continue to do so even into the season 7 relaunch in a couple of months. But thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching this later, drop down in the comments below. Let us know which of the stories most interested you and what your thoughts are on them. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.